Hi, my name is Suzy from Cafe Sheera, Beverly Hills, and you're watching Until TV.
All right. Well, hi, Suzy. I want to say thank you
Hi,
for allowing me to be able to interview you. This is
of
a very
course.
exciting, and I'm honored. Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's an honor for me because honestly, we've gone back some time
Yes.
in a different capacity. And so it's an honor for me to now be on the other side. And so when you asked, I absolutely thought, yes, this is from one moment
Wonderful.
to another. Absolutely.
Yes, I was like, oh, I'm glad she remembers me.
Oh
So,
my gosh, yeah, of course.
well, my name is Quanda, middle initial R, last name Graves. I'm also known as author and poet Until, and you're watching Until TV, and I'm here with Suzy Hovanesyan, who is the owner of Cafe Sheera, and we're going to talk about that today.
Yes, we are.
For some of those who don't know, I'm with California Crusader newspaper, and I'm in conjunction with my YouTube channel Until TV, so that's what you're watching. So I'm going to get into the first question. I wanted to make sure that my questions were great because I was so excited when I seen this. I
Oh,
was like, Susie? I was like, wait, what? So I said,
that's so funny.
now, I know you've been in a different industry that you've worked in
Yes.
over 20 years, which was the human resources and operative management, right? And now
Correct.
you ventured into entrepreneurship. Why?
Why is an amazing question. I think the time came where it was a natural transition from wanting to go from that corporate world to the entrepreneurial world. I felt that I wanted to um, challenge myself a little bit and see what it was to be in charge of my own success and to have the rise and hopefully not fall of a business rest on my own shoulders and to see and test my capabilities both as a businesswoman and as a minority,
Mhm.
especially in a I chose a very interesting time to open the cafe just because it was right before COVID, like a year before COVID. So it really has tested my capabilities, my abilities, my business acumen, my um, the flexibility and the resiliency that you need. And so that's why I wanted. It started off as a challenge to myself to let go of what is the expected clock in, clock out corporate world to one where it's a dog eat dog world. And so
I love that you were willing to take the risk. I love that you didn't let fear stop you. I love that you wanted to challenge yourself to do that. Sometimes fear stops us, and we get started with the what ifs, and then sometimes it just kind of enables us to stop. And the
sure.
fact that you like went on and jumped in, that's like courageous. You know what I mean? It's a dream that you followed. I did the same thing with my business, QS Simple Treasures and Greetings, and it was very like I don't know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Now, what you founded is a cafe called Shira Sweets. Am I correct?
It's sheer sweets. Yep.
Shira Sweets. And it was in the year 2015. So tell me about it. How do you pronounce it? Say, how do you pronounce it? Is it Shira?
Shira.
Shira.
You got it.
Okay. So
Yep.
tell me about Cafe Shira. Like, what is it? Like, why did you create it and what it means to you? Like, is it a dream? What is this?
So I'll start with a little bit of background.
Okay.
I was working in human resources for a nonprofit organization. And part of my responsibility was trying to find gifts for various executives and high profile individuals. And we would constantly give like sweet candy or cupcakes or just boxes of chocolates. And it got to a point that I was like, we're running out of things that
Yeah.
are different. And I thought, being Armenian and Greek, what can I do to infuse a little bit of my own cultural background into, excuse me, oh my
Bless
gosh,
you.
I'm so sorry. That's perfect timing in the middle of an interview. I see it. It's amazing. That's my life in a nutshell. So I thought, let me come up with an idea, and so the concept of dates and baklava was born. They are quintessential and healthy. The crux of like the Greek and Armenian community it rests upon baklava and
Yes.
dried fruit, especially dates. And
Yes,
so
I am familiar. Mhm.
Yeah, and I kind of went around the world. I did a little bit of traveling. I sourced things and I started to come up with recipes. And essentially, that's where the company was born, out of a necessity. I started doing e-commerce in 2015
Hmm.
while I was still working. And in 2018, I opened the cafe because I wanted to create an experience behind the sweets. It's one thing when you're buying a box of dates or baklava and you're enjoying it at home. It's another when you're in an ambiance that kind of stimulates your senses. You know, whether it's sight, it's sound, it's smell, it's taste. I wanted to create that physical ambiance and that environment that I felt was missing from Los Angeles. There's a lot of coffee shops and they do what they do very well, uh, but they can't do what we do. And that is provide the experience and the memory of being in a different time, a different place, and a concept where East meets West in a very fluid way. And so that's essentially what Sheera is. Sheera means something sweet in about 6 different languages, in Armenian, and Farsi, and Hindi, and Hebrew, and Arabic. Um, and so that resonates across the international spectrum. And that's exactly what I envisioned, wanted something that would be very international and to be embraced across all cultures and backgrounds. And
I love that
hence
you
the cafe.
I love that you
Yeah.
displayed it this way, to bring your culture to us. Like that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Some people suppress, you know, like who they are a little bit, and they try and like mix it with a little bit. But you
Sure.
decided to go full on who you are. And sometimes I think what people don't understand is that when you decide to be your full authentic self and you bring that, then that is what makes it extraordinary,
Sure.
right?
And it resonates with people because they feel like they know you.
Yes.
It's so interesting because when I'm at the cafe and I'm here every day, there's a certain, it may sound absolutely utterly insane, but there's a certain like soul and presence to this place. And
Uh-huh.
so I can't tell you how many times customers will come in and they'll say, "Is she here?" And they tell that you can tell when I'm here or when I'm not here because there's this soul and an energy to this place that I can't describe. And
Oh wow.
that's what I think customers like feel that attachment to, contributing to your success and supporting you, especially during these tough times. But you have to be able to make people understand who you are and what you're contributing and the imprint that you leave and the footprint that you leave in this
Yeah.
community because they're vested in you and your soul and your presence and your individuality. There's a million coffee shops, Honda. You can go anywhere, but
It's
you won't have that same spirit and soul and energy as you walk into a Starbucks. No shade. They do what they do well, but there's no touch behind it. There's no
no.
spirit behind it,
It's
you know?
funny that you say that because a friend of mine, we were talking about that not too long ago, and I was saying that Starbucks, in a way, is like the hustle and bustle of it, get in, get out,
Sure. Yep.
because they provide the whole, there's no time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's what I like about what you're providing, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what made me quite interested. I love the fact that you can give an impact, because when you have an impact, people share, right? And so it's different from when you say, "Oh, like go to Starbucks, blah blah blah." But when you share something like this, then people make it an event,
Yeah.
right? And it's an event to go. Now it's an experience to have, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what's great about what I'm seeing and what I'm learning about.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And that's really what makes it all worthwhile to me.
Oh, I love that. So listen, I've seen your website. I haven't visited yet. Um, but
You
it
have
seems
to come.
I'm going to. But it seems as though you take no punches in design, elegance, aesthetics, and experience. So my question is,
Uh-huh.
how long were you working on Cafe Sheera before you actually decided to launch?
So I designed the cafe myself. I didn't have
You
I
serious?
don't Mhm. I don't have like a financial backer. This was all my own savings. And so it took me a bit because I had to scrimp and save and work and save. And it was a challenge. And so it took me from the time I signed the lease to the time I opened was about, 8 months or so. 7, 8 months. But I was I don't have a very creative mind. And so this was also a challenge to myself. I'm a very analytical and logical thinker. HR. I don't have time for creativity.
Right. Well, you can't tell by the cafe.
It's the funniest thing because, here, I'll tell you the funniest story. When I was trying to design the cafe, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know color schemes. People are like, what's your thematic color scheme? I'm like, what's that? I don't even know. And so my sister really was funny. She said, you like just pick 4 colors. Okay. Pick your 4 favorite colors. I'm like, I don't know. And it started off as a joke because I said, I don't like pink. And she's like, okay, but like, what's your other favorite color? And I said, green. And she's like, okay, so pink's the other favorite color. I'm like, sure. Pick another favorite color. I'm like, black. And she's like, okay, well, white's the other one. And so that's what stuck. We stuck with pink, green, black, and white to the point when we were, I took my sister to pick tile with me, and we were like sparring, trying to figure out what tile to choose. I could not for the life of me figure it out or decide. And so I was like, black and white. We're going to do black and white tile.
Wow.
And that's what we ended up doing.
Nice.
With the black and white tile. So creativity is a challenge here for me until I got to a point where I decided, I'm a psychologist by education. And so I thought there has to be some psychology behind this. I need to create a place that is pretty much gender neutral, where men don't feel uncomfortable walking in, and women don't get overwhelmed with the femininity,
right?
Because there is such a thing.
There's a balance.
You can get overwhelmed.
There's
a balance.
You have to have a balance. The reason why I asked that question is because a lot of people that I know, that I talk to, that I interview, we are all venturing off into entrepreneurship. And I think sometimes people think that entrepreneurship is just like, oh, you have to have everything together. And so the fact that you shared your story, that it wasn't all together, and that you had bouts with creativity and understanding that you had to lock into a different mindset than logical and analytical, lets people know. And then the time frame, right? So a lot of people just think that, oh, I can't do it. I'm like, you have no idea. Once you start, sometimes the world will just open up to you. And so I want to thank you for like sharing that part of your story. So now I want to know, can you tell me the hardest part about getting started, and then the easiest and fun part once you were ending?
The hardest part about getting started was probably going through the hurdles of figuring out compliance. Believe it or not, as nice as the health department is, when you go on their website, it's like there's no information. It just basically says submit it and we'll figure it out if it meets code or not. And I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
So when you go to plan check, you basically have to you actually have to count the lumens in your ceiling, which I didn't know, but it doesn't say that. And so I had to kind of Google and read and ask questions and figure it out. And it was like, a 50,000 piece puzzle with like 500 pieces missing. And you're like, wow, how do I do this?
Yeah.
That was the most challenging part, especially not coming from a food industry.
No food background at all.
No, and a lot of companies have consultants and advisors. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have the money for it. So I really had to research the crap out of it. And I did. That was the most challenging part. Learning the system, learning, what is plan check, and, they have to approve your tile, and they have to approve your paint, and they have to approve the sinks and the ice machine. I never knew that. I just thought you buy it, put it in, and that's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's a lot to it. I think a lot of people don't even understand it. So what was the easiest and fun part?
I think the easiest and fun part, it's a little ironic, I'm 38. And so the fun part for me is having a team. And I started with a team of 1, and now I have a team of 12. Having a team who they're impressionable and they're young. And I love the fact that I'm kind of this like older sister, but boss, but mother, but not, but friend kind of
I get it.
figure.
Mm-hmm.
The fun part is allowing these young adults the creativity and the authority and the independence to be who they are, to allow them and their individuality to shine through. I'm not looking for, robots here. They get trained well, but I want them to show their own personalities. That's what I want to shine. And so it's fun for me to foster that kind of environment where they feel like this is a safe space for them. I don't have kids, so that's fun for me. That's to see them grow. I've had so many team members who come in very shy, very quiet, and then they walk out of here 3, 4 years later, like roaring like lions. And I'm like, that's what I love.
You have to
That's
love
the
that.
fun part.
I'm a supervisor too of student workers, and
Yeah.
I take it very seriously. And I
Yeah.
love the part of the mentorship because you get to allow them to be
Yeah.
and see how they've grown. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
it's definitely, I always tell them in the beginning, I'm like, it's okay, talk back to me. It's fine. I can handle it. I'd rather you
right,
do it here than the world eat you up.
it's true. It's true. So, I have a couple of more questions for you, but to
Yeah,
my
of
understanding,
course.
I hear you have about like 40 different varieties and combinations of many things. You have luxury coffee, sweets, and it's so much to choose from and try. So, though this is going to be hard, I want you to tell me your favorite coffee on the menu, your favorite sweet to go to, and then I want you to give a recommendation of the first time visitors whose palate may not be up to par yet with exquisite gourmet. Ooh.
Okay. My favorite drink is 4-shot macchiato. That's what I have every single morning, sometimes twice a day. I also, I came up with this recipe myself, and we are most known for our Egyptian rose latte. That is our number one drink. That's what put us up on the map. So I would definitely recommend for people to try the Egyptian rose latte. That's made out of rose petals.
Rose petals.
It's
Oh my God, I need to taste that.
it's unlike anything else. So that's usually the go-to for people. Mine, I'm very boring. I'm like, I do my 4-shot macchiato because I needed, 4 shots of espresso to get through my half day. The other
Favorite
question
sweet?
was what?
Favorite sweet?
Favorite sweet.
That's
I
what
think
I know
I'm
it's gonna
gonna
be hard.
say I love the chocolate covered macadamia nut date. That's my new favorite one.
Oh, that sounds
Mhm.
lovely. Chocolate macadamia. Okay.
Yep.
And then recommendation for a sweet?
I would encourage people to try our new honey lemon date. So good. And we
Man.
change the flavors every month, and so that's our summer special.
So I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit. I see that you did this like we talked about this a little bit earlier, but you did it like a little bit way before the pandemic, right? Um, how did it affect you, and if it did, how?
So the pandemic definitely affected me because 10 days before the shutdowns were announced, I had opened my second location in Orange County,
Mhm.
on a college campus. And so that only operated for 10 days before we had to shut it down. So I was definitely affected. So all that, uh, the financial contributions there all went out the window. Um, that investment was a very difficult investment to lose. And that's, as a business owner, you win some, you lose some. It was a hard hit for me. I'm not a gazillionaire. I have to work to be able to invest into a second location or third, and I don't have partners. It's just me. So you can imagine the magnitude of that kind of impact. You do it yourself. You're responsible for your own, again, success or failure of the rise and fall of your company. And so that's where resiliency kicks in. And, I had a choice. I either had to swallow and buckle down and be resilient and pivot my focus into understanding that that was a loss that I just had to absorb, and kind of mentally focus my efforts here and say, okay, that's gone. There's nothing I can do about this. There's nothing I can control. I've done the best I could, even though it was 10 days. I lost it all. But you know what? I have to focus my efforts here, and I need to be able to jump back and jump back quickly, because part of that is, as a business owner, your staff relies on you for morale. So if I come into work like, oh,
Yeah, it's an
it's
effect.
going to feed off of,
Yes.
and I don't want that. My motto is, I don't care what happens outside these glass panes. The moment you walk in, it's game time. You have to be able to pivot and be resilient. And so COVID really, while it slowed down the world, I think the food and medical industries were going 4,000 miles an hour. And so we went through some months where we were like, oh my God, there's no way. How are we going to sustain this? This is
It was a
impossible.
test. It was a test. Yes, it was.
But it taught a lot of us how to survive.
Yes, I will say that it was something that it brought out of you what you probably didn't know you had. I have to say, you're quite amazing, Suzy. You're the same as I know you. You're very transparent, and you're willing to share.
Oh yeah.
Be vulnerable in a sense where you know that people will learn from this, you know that people will grow from this, and you know that people will feel a comfort. A lot of people, not so much that they like, oh, I'm glad this person is doing this, I'm glad this happened to this person too, but it's more of a
Yep.
like, well, wow, if she can be resilient, if she can bounce back, then I know that I have a chance to bounce back too. And that's what everybody needs, encouragement and motivation for.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. I'll tell you this, in the middle of COVID, I got a phone call. Actually, no, she messaged me on Instagram. Or Darda was her name. She is her name. She messaged me and she said, I go to USC. I also work at USC. I wanted to see if you would help mentor me. I want to open up my own coffee shop. And I'll be completely blunt. Most business owners would say, are you joking?
No. Yeah.
I'm not going to help my competition
no,
out.
because they're competition, exactly.
And so I said, you know what? I'd love to meet you. If you're up for that, why don't you come to the coffee shop and we'll chat? And, in walks in this bubbly, cute African American girl. She's like, I'm here. And I'm like, holy crap, your energy level is like 10x mine. Hold on. I'm like, do you need coffee? She's like, no. I'm like, okay. Well, I need coffee. And so we developed such a good friendship. She's a bit younger, which is so cute for me to see this, like, I don't want to say next generation because I feel so old, but to see like a younger generation think of you as a mentor, because I don't look at it that way. I'm like, I come to work, I see this as a job for me. This is where I work. I don't see myself as like a mentor to someone. And so
I can understand where you're coming from, but you should, because I felt that way when I was
but you know what I mean, right? Like you don't see it that way until like
because I
somebody
didn't
has
see
this
myself that way either. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm a friend.
And so when she was like, I want you to mentor me, like, would you mind? And I was like, you know what? I don't mind, of course. And so we sat, so she and I sat maybe like 4 or 5 times, like hours. And I was like, okay, here's how you make this drink. Here's how you do this. This is where you go to plan check. This is how you do this. And I kind of helped her navigate what she needed to navigate in order to circumvent some of the bureaucracy and all of these things that I had to learn from the beginning, because I didn't have anybody to ask. I had Google, and Google's cute, but not that sexy when it comes
you
to
have to do some extensive research when you want to look for something. Trust me, I know.
And so it was, and she now has this very successful cafe called the Lazy Rose Cafe. And so
wow. And I love that you just shout her out. Oh my God.
But that's what I mean when I say, being a business owner and as a woman, you have so many opportunities. And a lot of that is kind of like a hidden blessing. And so to the extent, like I mentioned in the beginning, we all have this obligation to leave an imprint in our community, however small. I'm not a gazillionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I'm nowhere near. Nowhere near. My USC loans are like let's not go there.
But you'll be there soon.
USC, please waive my loans. I can't do it anymore. but to the extent that you are in a position that someone looks up to and says, hey, you did X, would you mind sharing that knowledge? I think it's an honor, and I think it's one to not take lightly, and it's one to look within and say, hey, this is a moment that is a blessing.
Well, I think it's a
You
blessing that
have the ability to impact someone.
yeah, I think it's a blessing that you decided to step into it. Most people shy away from something like that. So,
Yeah, and so I have a deep respect for these people. Absolutely.
Out of all of this hard work, right? So we have like 2 more questions. Like, what is your
Yeah, of course.
pastime?
My favorite pastime?
Hmm?
Reading. I love to read.
Do you really? Oh wow.
My current book is called Portrait of a Lady by Henry James.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys hear that, so you need to go out and see what she's reading. Okay. Okay. Last but not least, let's see. We're gonna see let's see what type of lady you are. Pancakes
Okay.
or waffles?
Both.
Oh!
I'll have one of each, please.
Oh my God, this interview was amazing. I want to thank you for taking the time.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I'm nobody.
Oh my God, you are somebody. Can you tell them where they can go find Cafe Sheera?
We are located in the heart of Beverly Hills at 443 North Bedford Drive, right across the street from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Can't miss that.
Oh, so you guys got to go visit. You heard what she said. She said that her favorite is 4-shot macchiato, but you need to take the Egyptian rose petal cafe. That's
yes.
And she said that you need to do the chocolate macadamian. See,
definitely.
So you need to try that. So you guys need to get on this. You're watching Q Quantic Graves, and I am Until TV, and you'll be seeing this really, really soon. Thank you, Suzy. Hold on.
Thank you so much.
Okay.